like a Hellcat.
Hello and welcome back to the channel, where once again it's time for another Saturn review, where today we're taking a look at one of the Saturn's many football games, Sega Worldwide Soccer 97. It was the sequel to Sega International Victory Goal and was released over here in the PAL region in October of 1996. Without a doubt, it was a massive upgrade on the football games we'd already seen on the system because they weren't particularly good up until then. Like always, we're going to be talking about how it looks, how it sounds, how it performs in the gameplay department, its content and lifespan, whether it's still worth playing today, and whether it can do the impossible and make our Sega Saturn top 10. So once the main menu hits, you'll see you've got Exhibition Mode, World League, Worldwide Cup, Cup Tournament, Penalty Shootout, Player Edit, and Options. Heading into the options, you've got lots of stuff that you can change in this game. Difficulty, time length, zoom, BGM, audio, pad configuration, cards, fouls, you name it. There are quite a lot of settings and it's pretty in-depth for a 1996 football game. So like always, I'm going to start with visuals first, and once you begin a match on Worldwide Soccer 97, you will see straight away that this game is visually a cut above any of the other football games that we'd had out on the system at that point. Euro 96, Actual Soccer, Olympic Soccer, Striker 96, none of those games look anywhere near as good as Worldwide Soccer 97. We've got decent quality 3D model players, which is something none of those other games had. Some of them still use sprite-based 2D players, and they just didn't look good when you try and put them onto a 3D pitch. The stadiums look quite impressive as well. There's only 3 on the game, but they do look pretty decent. The pitch as well, probably the best pitches on any football game I'd seen at that point too. And overall, in fairness to the game, it's probably the best looking 3D football game on any system at the point at which it came out. It really is that good. As well as that, we've got pretty good animations for all the moves, whether you're pulling off a bicycle kick, a scissor kick, a header. This game is well animated and it's vastly superior to the other football games that we'd seen at that point in time. And as well as all of that, it's got fantastic menu presentation as well. From the title screen to all the menus, this game looks very, very crisp, bright, attractive. It really probably is, in my eyes, the best looking in terms of presentation wise football game on any system at that point in time. I highlighted it as one of the game's strengths when I did a comparison video of this against ISS Pro. I felt the menu presentation of the game was just absolutely spot on, and it holds up very, very well to this day. Whilst the 3D models do look obviously dated now, I feel the menus and the presentation in that regard are still top quality stuff. So overall, in the visual department, I feel Worldwide Soccer 97 is a solid title.
First match. Today's game is Norway versus Switzerland.
So moving on to the sound effects and music next, and I'll start off with all the sound effects within the matches themselves because they're actually pretty decent. The passing, the shooting noises, the tackling noises are all actually pretty decent, just like the stadium noise as well. I think it sounds pretty authentic most of the time, and it's definitely a plus point for the game. We've got Gary Bloom on commentary, and whilst he's probably not the best around, he does a relatively decent job within the game. Sometimes he'll be halfway through a sentence and he'll start another sentence. That can be a little bit irritating, and he doesn't probably sound as natural or as fluent as you'd like him to, but he does the job and he doesn't get too irritating. Another plus point though, sound-wise, is actually some of the musical tracks within the game, and it's not something you usually think of within a football game, but this game does actually have some pretty decent arcade-style music. So what I'm going to do is give you an example of some of the tracks within this game so you can decide for yourselves just how good you think they are. So moving on to the gameplay next, we've got a pretty decent setup for attacking on this game. We've got short pass, long pass, shoot, sprint and change play, and it works relatively well for when you're attacking the opposition. You can head the ball, bicycle kick, scissor kick, everything like that is within there. So offensively the game plays reasonably well. I don't feel it plays as well defensively. It's harder to win the ball back off your opponents. There are no way to track your opponents like you can in more modern football games, so you've really got to time those slide tackles or those block tackles to perfection to get the ball back, and it can be a little bit irritating, in all fairness, going back to a game like this when so many more modern games have got better ways of defending. Another thing I'll point out in terms of gameplay is the fact that this game benefits from playing an end-to-end viewpoint rather than side-to-side. Now, 99% of football games I've played, I'd play them side-to-side. I tend to think you can see more of the pitch, it's better, and it's more enjoyable. But for some reason, Worldwide Soccer 97 is one of these games that just benefits from playing end-to-end. I feel the way the shooting is implemented benefits you playing this way, and I just feel overall the game just seems to feel like it plays better when you play with an end-to-end viewpoint. I think as well, because you rely on curving the ball a lot when you shoot, it is easier to pull off when you're performing in the end-to-end viewpoint rather than side-to-side. Of course, so there are flaws with the gameplay, and the major one for me is the fact this game just isn't responsive or quick enough when you're controlling it. There's almost this delay between when you shoot and pass, and it is quite irritating. I think when I first played this game many years ago, kind of forgave it because it was pretty much one of the best football games around then in terms of looks and presentation. But when you go back to playing it now, it's more noticeable, and there's obviously been far better football games since this. Even in the 32 and 64-bit era, there were many better football games eventually than this, and going back to a game that just feels slightly delayed in the way everything is performed is tough. So overall in the gameplay department, it wasn't too bad back then, but when you play it now, it's a little bit lacking.
We're close to the 90-minute mark.
So moving on to content and lifespan next, we've got 48 teams, we've got single exhibition matches, we've got penalty shootouts, we've got customizable cup tournaments, we've got the World League, and we've got the Worldwide Cup, with these two being the main modes of play. As well as this, we've also got the ability to edit the names of all the players within the international teams. Obviously, all of the names on the game when you start are completely fictitious names. If you choose to do so, you can edit them, give them player names of perhaps the players from this period of time, although the statistics probably wouldn't really represent those edited names. In terms of the game's actual lifespan, it probably depends on how well you feel this game plays, and certainly if you're playing it nowadays, how well you can adapt back to the way this game plays. When it originally came out, I feel this game had a great lifespan. There wasn't that many great football games out on the next-gen system, so it was one that you'd want to play over and over again. But obviously, as the years went by, better games became available on the consoles, not necessarily the Saturn, but certainly the PlayStation and the N64, which really reduced this game in the pecking order because the ISS games that came out on those systems were much better playing games. Obviously, the League mode and the Worldwide Cup will take you quite a long time to play through. It's really just a question of whether you will actually want to do that in this day and age. So like always, that leaves us with our two final questions. Is Worldwide Soccer 97 still worth playing today, and does it potentially make our PAL Sega Saturn Top 10 or even our Worldwide Sega Saturn Top 10? Now the game has some plus points. It's got fantastic visual presentation through and through. The in-game graphics are pretty decent for their time, and the sound and music as well are pretty impressive also. The two main modes of play will give you plenty of content and will take quite a while to play through. Of course, the downside for me is the fact the gameplay feels delayed, it feels slightly predetermined and outdated, which reduces the enjoyment massively. Coupled with that, Worldwide Soccer 98 came out on the Saturn, and it surpassed this game by having more teams, plain and simple. So for that and those two reasons really, I can't really recommend Worldwide Soccer 97 as a game to go back and play now. Of course, if you had the other consoles at the time, other football games came out on those and quickly surpassed this, and this game fell down the pecking order quite quickly. Of course, that means it can't make our PAL Sega Saturn Top 10. It simply doesn't play well enough to get into that Top 10, which obviously has some quality titles in now. That is it for this week. Another game done and dusted. I thought I'd do another football game because we're obviously in the Euro 2024 season. I may well do another one next week as well. I'm undecided. But what I'm interested in is everybody's thoughts on Worldwide Soccer 97. How did you feel about it when it came out? And have you played it again recently? And what are your thoughts on this game now? Let me know with a comment down below. And as always, I'll be back in the near future with another review. Goodbye for now.